Okay, we're live streaming vertical. Sorry, I like to do everything horizontal, landscape, but we have to do vertical. Hi everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm just gonna start by we'll do a little walk around. Yes, I'm on the new Catamaran in Thailand, and here it is. I know it's vertical. I'm trying to switch it to landscape, but it won't let me live stream. Oh, so here we are in Phuket. You can see, yeah, we got some work on the windows. This is, I've resealed these 4, and those will be in an upcoming video. The name of the boat is Pickled Catfish. All right, Annalene will be joining the boat in just 2 more weeks now. Oh, I have a microphone. Let's see if this sounds better. Let's see why I ditched the monohull for the Catamaran. Let's talk about that. Reason number 1, the healing, right? Okay, the audio isn't good. Back to the default audio. Okay, we're back to original audio. Is that better? Is it working? I tried so many microphones. We just gotta live with some bad audio every once in a while until the iPhone makes the wind noise better. And apparently they claim that the newest iPhone had better wind noise, but my friend bought one and he said it didn't really improve. So we'll wait for the next one. Okay, so less healing. Reason number 1, I went for the Catamaran. I mean, I love healing over on the monohull for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. But the truth is, it just gets old, you know. Like it's like so healing over for the first few hours is fun, you know. You feel like you're moving, you have that sense of, you know, like the motion, and it's great. But after maybe 2 hours, it's like just tolling on you. You're getting constantly like pushed into like tables and things, and it just takes a few days to get used to. But now a funny thing happens. Maybe day 3 to 5, you'll just get used to that, and you kind of, you know, your core gets used to always balancing, and then it's great, you know. At that point, you could be pretty happy for a few weeks at a time, but that happens so rarely. Like most passages are between, you know, 1 day and 3 days. So you hardly ever get to that like state of just being accepting of like how the boat is moving. Like an ocean crossing, it's great. But I don't do those, but you know, once or twice a year, like a passage long enough to really enjoy that. So the Catamaran just being level is a huge advantage, and Adeline likes that too, because she's not done the ocean crossings. Yeah, so like the motion of the boat, I know a lot of people don't like catamarans because they can be kind of a little bit more jerky, but the trade-off of not living life constantly at an angle, like try cooking at an angle. It's challenging. Even if you have a gimbaled stove, like you'll just be like, few things will make you as mad at the world and life than just preparing some food and having all of your food just get flung over on the side of the the cabin. All right, so I'll switch to answering a few questions now. Cats have shallower holes. Yes, the draft is another big plus. So I think we have 3-foot draft. I think it's less than 3 feet in this boat. So I think pickled herring was 4, and that was already a pretty shallow draft. So we can put this boat in really shallow places. And also, it's been designed so we can beach it, which I think that's pretty cool too. I careened pickled herring in France, and that had the boat at 45 degrees. And I spent 1 night on the boat at 45 degrees. It wasn't even like pounding, and it was so hard. Like even though I have my canting pipe berth, it was very hard to sleep on the boat. Just careened over. This boat, you know, I can careen it pretty well. On a level heel, it will be, you know, easily, I don't know, whatever the angle the beach is at. But I guess it sits on the skegs in the back, so maybe it will be level if we go forward. So we can talk a little bit about the plans for the cruising season. We don't really have. We just have a rough plan. So I think we'll probably be in this kind of part of the world for the next 2 years. I'm thinking I've sailed from Malaysia up to Thailand, working on getting the boat re-rigged and maybe some new sail. We're just fixing some of the sails right now. Roller Tasker's been helping me with that. And then we'll go back down to Malaysia, work around Borneo, and then maybe up to Vietnam or Taiwan and South Korea and Japan, but then also down to Australia we want to do too. But we'll just kind of see how the season and how things are going. And ultimately we'll probably, yeah, after Australia, I think we'll go back and go west across the Indian Ocean and like South Africa, and then to the Caribbean. But that could be, you know, 3 or 4 years from now. I'm not really in a rush. Like, there's no point in rushing on sailboats. You got to enjoy the places you are. And there's so many places to see around here. Okay, scroll into the comments. Let's see what we got here. The new name is Pickled Catfish. Pickled Herring is sold. So I'm a little bit behind on the videos. What happened was when I crossed the Atlantic and pickled herring, I was almost real time. I think I posted the video like a week or two after I crossed. But then sailing to the Caribbean, it's all these little island hops, and I was just busy I wanted to look at some catamarans. I met up with Hoob and some other people, and there was just so much sailing, and I didn't have so much time to edit. And like every little island, I wanted to make its own video. So I'm almost 2 months behind right now with the videos. So the next video will be me sailing pickled herring from Dominican Republic back to Florida to sell it. But the boat is already sold now. So you have to realize the videos are not always in real time, but I do like them to be closer to real time than they are right now. It's just kind of the reality of life as doing the YouTube thing. And I think that's going to be good though, because there was probably like a month of a gap of me not doing anything very video worthy. So you can skip that. You'll still get videos every week, maybe sooner. All right, let's do the next thing. Cats are faster. Like, I think that's a huge advantage. Like, I want to sail more places, and this boat, I had it doing 10 knots easy, you know, and like 12 knots of wind or something. It goes almost to wind speed, and that's just a blast for me, just being able to go fast. There's instances when you're going to want to slow it down still, right, if you get into waves and things. But that's a huge advantage for why I want to go for cat. Okay, switching back to questions. So someone asked if this is my first live stream. No, I did a bunch of live streams a few years ago, but I haven't done them in a long time. If I'm screwing things up, just let me know, because I'm not super versed in live streaming etiquette. So I learned I'm supposed to read the questions, and just answering them doesn't really help. Okay, next. Okay, people are mentioning 2 engines. That's another plus. It's a plus and a con, right? Because you got double the maintenance, but you can get away with less, you know, spare parts than you would need for, you know, 2 monohulls, right? Because you can kind of share things. Yeah, so I think having 2 engines is great. I don't really worry so much about, you know, losing one engine, because I mean, when I'm in a marina, I'm using the 2 throttles to dock it and stuff. But normally when I can just use 1 engine and get around just fine with that. So I guess why I stopped live streaming. I had a blast when I was live streaming in the past, and then at some point I was live streaming in Europe. Maybe the time zones didn't line up right, and I did a live stream and only 4 people joined, and I didn't know what to do, because in my previous live streams it was mostly responding to comments, and when it was just 4 people saying, hey, I love the videos, I didn't have a plan, right? So now I always thought when I did live stream I need to have like a little outline to go off of, and otherwise I'm just gonna like flounder, and because I don't know, I don't mind talking kind of publicly, but I'm also not that good at it or comfortable always. So that was kind of a fail. And I don't know, I don't always prepare enough. I thought this was a good time to do some live stream because I got stuff to talk about. So next thing, why I ditched the monohull for the catamaran. I think monohulls are great, by the way. I don't want to like stomp on anybody's dreams. There's so many cheap monohulls, and for like the adventures I did in the past, it made so much sense. You know, you buy that boat for, you know, very little, and you put some work into it, and you can sail the world. It's just an awesome thing. But at this point in my life, I've been doing that for 6 years now, and I can't keep going, guys, on that small little boat. It's like not much bigger than a prison cell. I mean, yeah, you're in amazing places, but you're down below, you know. Your port lights are about this big, so you can't really enjoy the places you are. Like right now, look, I have windows all the way around me. I can actually enjoy the places I'm at. I can see them. Yes, we need to, the windows are not in great shape, but we're working on that. All right. Okay. Let's acknowledge the comments. What we got here? So it's Friday night there. Okay, so it's Saturday morning here. I figured the U.S. is where most of the viewers are, so if I did it morning there, it would be evening there. We're almost, I think, 12 hours time difference, maybe 11 from U.S. Eastern time. We got some criticism over pickled catfish, the name. I know it's kind of ridiculous, but what are we gonna do? It's funny. Let's see what else we have. So are monohulls safer in heavy sea states? Possibly, but usually I think when you're getting a catamaran to cross oceans, I feel like most people are getting 40-foot plus boats, and at that size, I think the risk of capsizing is very low. Also, monohulls have a big thing called a keel. It's basically a big lead weight on the bottom of your boat. So if you do, spring a leak, you're gonna sink very fast. I think there's probably enough buoyancy chambers, even if you flip a catamaran over. Like the core on this boat is probably enough to make it float. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least you're not gonna sink as likely on a catamaran, and things are more compartmentalized. Another great thing about this boat is all the like the bulkheads. I'm gonna flip the camera around here. So you go back to the engine ring, right? So the engine ring, we have a partial bulkhead here, right? So if like the boat, a through hole was to break, right? That would fill up to a certain point. I don't think it would go over this area. So like the through holes, the engine, are in this area. Then going back to here, the area where the rudders are. So that's our rudder quadrants back there. I mean, you have a sealed chamber there, so if you get hit by the behind, that's probably not going to break this. If an orca gets you, so this area is completely sealed by a completely watertight bulkhead. So that's another advantage. This is another sealed chamber. Going forward, sorry for the wind. Another advantage of the catamarans, the bean bags, you got to have them. You have the crash bulkheads. I mean, I guess any boat, monohull or catamaran, could have this. But I mean, these lockers are huge. You can go downstairs. You got the folding bike in here. It's like this is a whole sealed area, and then that up there is another whole sealed area. So, honestly, I don't really worry too much about hitting things in my boat and sinking it, because really on a sailboat, at least pickled herring would, you're averaging probably under 4. You probably average around 4 knots on that boat. This boat, I think, would probably average 6 or 7, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. But usually you're not going fast enough to actually puncture your hull when you hit stuff. I mean, this boat has Kevlar reinforcement on the bottom too, but like to hit, like I've hit logs at 5 knots on pickled herring, and there was never even any damage at all. So I think running into things is not something I worry about too much. I mean, yeah, the orcas, they get kind of aggressive, right? And they actually try to start ripping the appendages off the bottom of your boat. So maybe that's a problem. But there's only a few pods right now of orcas that are doing the damage. All right, hydraulic steering. No, this someone asked if this boat is hydraulic steering. It's it has a chain from the steering wheel down, and then it goes to its Dyneema steering. So that will be a project. I want to replace the Dyneema lines, because I found Dyneema, when it runs over a sheave for long enough, I used Dyneema on my wind vane, after a couple of years it did break. How many holes have I drilled so far in the boat? Good question. A lot. I replaced some coring in the under the windlass, and so I mean a huge hole. I had to drill for the windlass to go back in there, and then all the ones to mount that. I mean, it was a dozen holes to mount the switches for the windlass. Yeah, I'm very careful about drilling holes in the boat. I drill them, I fill them with fiberglass. I mean epoxy, and then I drill them again so it seals off the core. Oh, thanks. We got some super. Is it called super likes still? Where you get the donation? Thanks, Lewis. I really appreciate that. Someone asked if this is the biggest boat I've had, and by far it's the biggest boat I've had. It's 43 feet, and pickled herring was 28 foot. That was my other biggest. Oh no, the boat I had for a short time in Florida was maybe 29 feet. So 29 was my biggest boat I had owned before. Oh, there was another Peter Griswold. Thank you, Peter. I really appreciate that. All right, going back to my topic, why we have switched to the catamaran. I mean, this is just kind of like a fun kind of thing just to talk about, I guess. These so shallower draft. Someone mentioned that, and then level careening. That's obviously a nice plus. I don't think most people. Oh, thank you, Patrol. I don't think most people careen their boats very often. I did it all the time when I did those little beach cat adventures on the Hobies and the Mystere. Maybe we'll do it more on this boat. It's just I feel like the problem with careening the boats, a bigger boat, is that when you have any wave action at all, it just like, oh man, it's terrifying, the noises the boat makes when the boat kind of hits the bottom. So you got to really time it with the tides, so that the tides are coming out pretty quickly after you careen it. And then hopefully when it comes back in, you don't have any wave action at all. So it takes a little bit of planning to make that work. Thanks, Stephen Swift. Appreciate that. Okay, another reason. Yeah, the views. In Pickled Herring, you climb down in this this cave, and it's nice. It's homey. You know, you have that wood and teak and holly and everything. But the truth is, you could be anywhere. You could be back in the marina when you're down there. You can't really see out the port lights. And I think monohulls have those great. There's some newer ones. You know, these deck saloons, which are doing a great job. But when I look at what you have to pay to get a boat that has a great, you know, windows and deck saloon for a monohull, we're getting well into the, I think, $160,000 range I paid for this boat. And there's so many other advantages for the Catamaran. It just didn't really make sense for us to do the monohull. But I think yeah, maybe the deck saloons is a good alternative. I think if I was gonna get a monohull, maybe like a 40-foot, 45-foot deck saloon would be an option. Now let's see. Next reason I have on my list was more room for solar. Let's go outside again. I'll show you my solar panels. And we don't have, I mean, a lot of catamarans have even more than this, but we've got these two big, I think these are 400-watt panels. And if we didn't have the radar and Starlink arch, we could have, you know, 3 there. But we have room, you know, to put, you know, a couple more out there. So solar is awesome. But these panels work pretty well. It's the rainy season now here in Thailand and Malaysia. So there are some days where the batteries get a little low, but the rainy season is a good time to be here because it's so much cooler. The heat is brutal, but we get so much sun that so we have 4 and 4, 800 watts, maybe 100 watts over the helm station, and then there was some old like flexible panels, which maybe another 100 watts, 200 watts of those. Let's see, practice that anchoring. You know, this boat has a great anchor. It's an anchor I hadn't heard of. It's like German, kind of like a German anchor. It's similar. It looks similar to kind of a Rockna style with the hoop. But it has not dragged once. It seems like a really good anchor. I think it's about, I want to say it's about 80 pounds. Can I sail this boat solo? Easier or harder than Pickled Herring? Yes, I sailed it solo the first time with both sails yesterday. I had a friend come help me out moving it around initially, but I can sail this boat solo. It's a lot of fun. It takes a little bit more time to get everything ready. That's one of the disadvantages of getting the bigger boat for sure. Like just, you know, getting the sail pack open and stuff, getting the mainsail up. We put a electric winch, E-wincher, I'll give them a shout out. They helped us electrify a Harken winch, and that's been the most valuable player of the, of the boat. We just, the mast is huge, 60 foot on a 2-to-1. It takes forever to get the sail up without that electric winch. And it seems like most cats of this size have electric winches, so we're happy to have it. The other cool thing about this E-wincher is it has load limits, because this thing can put a ton of, over a ton of force. You can pull over a ton of force on your lines with the push of a button. And it would be enough to like break the mast and so much stuff. So this is really cool because we can set load limits. So I have a load limit on the fast speed, and I usually use that first. And then I have a higher load limit on the slow speed. And this winch is super fast too. I'm loving this thing. And so like I can I get the mast the sail most of the way up, and then I can be extra careful when I pull the final bit there. So we're gonna have a video on that. I've been really stoked about having an electric winch. All right, let's go. Let's answer some questions. Let's do that. Okay, thank you, Todd Thorpe. Appreciate the contribution. Wow, very generous. And Parker Jeeples, appreciate that. And Cortical 1. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate all the contributions. We're gonna have some big bills coming up. I'm spending way more than I'm making right now on YouTube and Patreon. Hopefully, at some point, it kind of goes down and I can afford this. But yeah, I really appreciate the contributions. How to get back to the questions? Oh, let's talk about like single-handing this boat. Yeah, I mean everything. It's pretty doable. You know, you just got to walk around. You know, to get to everything, and planning early is more important, right? Because the yeah, I mean that the sails are just huge, you know. But then again, it has better hardware than pickled herring, like the track. Once we got that lubricated properly, the cars go pretty well. So I can reef the sail on more points of sail. I don't have to be as directly into the wind, and I have that huge platform to walk around on the hardtop, and that's just made it a lot easier and safer feeling when I'm working on the sails, right? So you just have this huge working space. This boom is amazing, like all these handholds and stuff. It's kind of got a cradle built into it. Roller Tasker is now working on our stack pack, so that's why there's no sail cover on it now. But yeah, it's some things are harder, some things are easier, but it's definitely single-handable. I think it's really ideal with 2 people on this boat. So because we have kind of 2 different sail positions, right? We have our main winch. But then if someone's furling in the head sail, it's kind of nice to be able to, you know, kind of coordinate with another person so it's not flapping around so much. These are expensive sails, guys. We don't want to, we want happy sails, not flappy sails. Is it different kind of sailing? Hey, yeah, like catamaran sailing is different. One thing I really love about it is when you just get a gust, it just turns into complete acceleration. Like, one minute you're going, you know, 6 knots, and then you're doing 10 knots a few seconds later just because the gust comes through. And that's like, that could be good and bad, I guess, because then you might have to reef at a certain point. But you know, I'm learning the boat for sure. Let's see. Hey, why does I get some of these comments that catamarans are not sailboats, but mine has sails on it and it sails better than all the monohulls I've owned. So I disagree with that. I'll just put that out for the record. Yeah, I'm super stoked about getting the cat surfing now. So mainly we've been going upwind. The thing about the catamaran sailing is you have the same thing with the beach cats. You're going upwind most of the time, right? Because even when you're on a beam reach, or even a broad reach, the apparent wind comes forward. So hopefully once we get to do some longer passages, we'll get to go more downwind and experience the surfing. But I have not got to do that at all because once we get some speed, the apparent wind just comes forward, and we like to go fast. Someone asked about if we had a spinnaker, and so it has a parasailer now, and I've tested that out. So we'll have some footage of that coming up. It's an interesting sail. I'm not sure if I'm convinced yet on the parasailer. I think just a nice, simple, big asymmetric would be just as good, but it seems to work pretty well. We're happy with the results. Just it has a sock, you pull it up, so it's definitely easier than the pulling it out of a bag. So I did like that. Someone asked Graham asked if we are considering bringing on crew, and I think we might do some paid charter opportunities in the future if anybody is interested, but we need to, you know, fix a few of the things first and get to know the boat more. But that could be a possibility for sure. Someone asked if I am actually from North Carolina. That is true. I'm from North Carolina. I grew up there. I've not bumped into SV Delos or La Vagabond. The previous owner, Norman, said he ran into La Vagabond on this boat. And Raleigh was into it. Catamarans. Okay. Thanks, Brian. Will you be doing a boat tour in an upcoming video? So we did. I thought that was a little my previous video where I walked around the boat. I thought that was kind of a boat tour. But Brian, if there's any place in particular you want to see of the boat, we can show you now. This is would be a good time to do that. But maybe also we could do a more thorough tour, you know, in a little bit on another video. Hey, Patrol, congrats on your new boat, and thanks for the contribution. I appreciate that. Do we have a cannon on board yet? No, but we have a, actually I don't want to talk about that. Do we have a water maker? Yeah, we have the Catamaran 160E, but I turned it off because I've been getting so much rainwater. And this boat doesn't even have a rainwater collection system. It's like we're wasting most of it. But I just put a bucket out here, and I put a bucket out here, and I just fill these jugs, and now I don't have to listen to the water maker. I pickled the water maker, and I even bought one of these little washing machines. So I store water in there too, and I can do my laundry here. It just sits in the cockpit, and then I'd rather, it's got a spin cycle thing. This was like $100, and it's been awesome. So I don't have to go to laundromats anymore. I think that thing weighs about 30 pounds, so it's not too much weight. And the solar's been enough to run it too, so fancy. I also got a mini split AC, but I need to find someone to hook it up because I think I need like a vacuum pump and the R32 or whatever gas. Are we going to get the sails cleaned? No, we're not going to have the sails cleaned. I think I'm having the sunshade replaced. I think that's probably the dirtiest part too, so maybe they'll look better when I have that done. Rolly Tasker has one of the awesomest lofts. We're going to do a tour of the Rolly Tasker loft. It's just incredible. They make their own ropes. They injection mold all the hardware. It's just huge, and it's opening a new sail is just it's like Christmas. We're not getting a new sail yet, but they're been working super nice to work with. Getting the sunshade put on the sail, and it's gonna be yellow like pickled herring. I love that yellow sunbrella material, and they're doing a new stack pack for us too, so it's gonna be great. So I'll pick those up Tuesday. Kevin owns an air conditioner. He wants to hook up our mini split for us. We're in Phuket, Thailand. If you're in the area, send me an email. It's probably not realistic, but yes, I do own the new boat. So I've had the boat for like a month now. I'm a little behind on the YouTube videos. Let's talk about more reasons why the Catamaran has been great. It's been made more sense. So another great thing is you can have there's a perfect spot on catamarans for a dinghy. Like I never had a good spot for my dinghy on the Monohull. Like, but you just hang it up from these davits here, and we have a 15 horsepower Yamaha Enduro 2-stroke motor, and this thing is just amazing. It gets the boat up on plane with like 3 people, not too much problem. With 1 person, this thing is just a bat out of hell, man. It's just like so freaking fast, and it's just like having a little go-kart. And now we can just anchor in one place and visit 4 islands, maybe, without having to sail everywhere. And I don't have to row, but we still got the oars. One thing I know is not to trust outboard. It's very, very good. But this one's been running good. I was anti 2-stroke for a while because I always just thought 2-strokes are great and simple, but they never work. And even though 4-strokes are complicated, they just always seem to work and they're smooth. But I really like the Hoob got the Yamaha, the same one, the Yamaha 15 Enduro 2-stroke, and dang, that's like the most smoothest 2-stroke I've ever had. So I'm convinced, and it seems like that's what almost everybody is using is the 15 horsepower Yamaha Enduro. Although I think if I bought one, I'd probably get the Leisure because I don't quite understand the difference between the Leisure and the Enduro. I think the Leisure is a little cheaper, but it's also lighter and it has the shifter on the front. And I don't know. I guess maybe the Enduro is supposed to run better on dirty gas, maybe. Thanks, Russell. Appreciate that. Loft Shape. Yeah, appreciate the contribution, Loft Shape. Todd Thorpe. Appreciate that. Okay. Mast been looked at by a bigger guy. So yeah, I had a rigger look at the mast and rigging a couple days ago. And I'm gonna replace the standing rigging. So I got some comments on the washing machine. That's been working good so far. I bought one. It broke the first day, but then I asked for give me one that won't break, and the next new one's been working better. What changes will there be with the crew edition? Well, Annaline's gonna help me with video editing a little bit more, so we can make the videos a little more polished and just I don't know. She needs something to do because she quit her job to come out sailing with me. It's a big step for us. Let's see. Have you had to reduce sail in high winds yet? From Delta Magoo. Thank you for the contribution. Yes, we've done a lot, and you have to reduce the sail pretty early. Well, maybe you don't have to, but I've been very conservatively. So it's been great testing out the reefs on the sail, and having the nice track system is great. And also, I mean, probably having the mast rotate, that kind of helps too, you know. So I can swing the mast over, so it's, you know, more in line. But yeah, reefing has been going pretty well. It's done at the mast on this boat, so that's another reason. A second reason why having two people is a little better on this boat. I do like having the reefing done at the mast, because you have just, you know, the spaghetti is also already pretty bad at the helm station, and I think the builder of the boat had originally ran all the lines back to the cockpit. You know, he had the sheaves coming up here, but like this is after I neatened everything up. But like you have your main halyard there, the jib sheets here. If you have a what's it called, screecher, you have screecher sheets here. You got the mast rotation lines here, and you have your main halyard here. So like after you do a few sail adjustments, this whole area is just full of ropes. I can't imagine having the reefing lines here also, and it's all only on one winch. So I think it's a nice compromise having the reefing done at the mast. And yeah, we got 3 reef points here. This third reef is very deep. A lot of times the reef is still doing 7 knots. The other day I had on the first reef, we were doing 10 knots, so I put it on the next first reef, and then it was still doing 10 knots. I put it on the next reef, and we're doing 8 knots. So I put it on the third reef, and we're doing 7 knots. Again, I'm trying to sail the boat a little more conservatively to begin with. But yeah, I do a lot of playing around with the reefs, and of course the jib, you know, is on a furler, so we can roller reef that. Doesn't feel weird to stand on solid ground. Feels great to stand on solid ground. Unfortunately, there's a few soft spots on the deck. I replaced one. I kind of actually enjoy doing the fiberglass work. I'm sure I'm gonna hate that I said that at some point, but let's see. Time to hit high seas. A question about insurance. We have insurance, but I have not gotten a survey, and the insurance company is insisting on a survey. So yeah, I'm paying for insurance, but I don't think it's really covered when I'm actually sailing it, unfortunately, until I can get that insurance survey done. What about pickle will I miss? Well, I'll miss the lower priced marinas. I think it was $160 a night when we went into the marina to have the rigger looked at it, and then I got 2 nights, so it was over 300. And then he got sick and didn't show up, so I was just threw away $300. And then I stopped in the marina for 2 hours, and they charged me $75. And that's another good point about the catamaran. You can anchor out more, and you don't end up having to go to marinas as often. I always thought on pickled herring to have a marina, you know, every couple of weeks or once a week for a few days was just a nice treat, you know. Refill the water, charge the batteries if the solar wasn't keeping up with it. You know, just be able to get ashore easily. But having a nice dinghy that you can just easily get in and out of, and a place to put it, ready to go, and then having, you know, being able to walk around in the boat and not feeling so constrained, having the big full queen size bed, full real kitchen. Like, there's not so much reason to go ashore into a marina anymore, and it does pretty well in anchorage, even in pretty rough wind. You know, you're moving around a little bit, but nowhere near as a monohull where you could just be going like 45 to 45 on both sides. It's brutal. All right, any more, let's see where we're at. We're 39 minutes. We keep on going. We'll probably end this in about an hour. So having 2 diesels has been another reason why the catamaran made a lot of sense. Twice the the maintenance work. We already had a huge disaster. Will be in an upcoming video. The freshwater coolant plug, the hose clamp on that broke, and then all the coolant dumped into the engine floor, and that set off the bilge alarm on the engine. But then the engines were still running fine, and I turned off the engine, and then the alarm kept going off. So I didn't think it was an alarm from the engine. We were just anchoring. So it's like, okay, we'll just finish anchoring, turn the engine back on to anchor the boat. And then I heard another alarm go on. I'd finished anchoring and turned off both engines, and I saw light come on the engine. So it was confusing because the bilge alarm covered up the engine overheating or water alarm, and fortunately it only ran for like a minute, and we were able to figure out the problem. But man, that was a little stressful. One of the reasons why I picked this boat was because the engines were in such good shape. But we got that sorted. Just a hose clamp. It's funny. Some of the simple hose clamp could screw you over. You'd be looking at like a $20,000 engine replacement. I don't know. These diesel are expensive to replace. Thanks, John Pointer. Appreciate the contribution. Dr. John Dodge points out that maneuvering is amazing with two engines, and that's a great thing about having two engines. It's like I can dock this in marinas. I've docked it twice and left 3 times from marinas so far, and it's a little intimidating because it's a big boat, but like it doesn't weigh that much more. It's only 7 tons. Pickled herring was 5 tons, so it's actually not that much heavier, but it's got 2 30 horsepower diesels, so we're 60 horsepower versus like 15. So I have to like learn to not, like in pickled herring I was like, if I'm gonna stop like 100 feet, but I'm like way far out. I've got the boat in reverse to slow myself down, but this one I just needs a little bump with the throttle to slow it down, and then being able to have that differential throttle control. It's great. I gotta learn how to use it. It's more practice, but even with no experience at all, I make it look like I know what I'm doing as much as a monohull. Pickled herring was enjoyable because it was like once you figured out how to actually dock it well, it was very satisfying. This one, I still think there's a lot to learn, and it will be fun to learn how to maneuver it more. But it's having that 2 throttle is awesome. Prop walk non-existent now. I never really noticed too much prop walk on pickled herring. Maybe a tiny bit. The funny thing is that I was kind of reading and researching it. I thought the prop was right-hand drive or something, and then so I was like thinking I got it, but then I went under the water and I realized that the prop spun the other way. So like everything I had read and researched was actually completely off. Hi mom. My mom is watching from Indiana, Sagi Hollow. I met with my grams. So here's another point where I don't think a lot of people talk about for getting a more expensive boat and a bigger boat. I think it really makes sense to get the smallest boat that is going to work for you. And when you're picking the size of the boat, I think it makes most sense to go based on how many people are on the boat. But one thing I think that maybe people don't think about is if you actually have a boat that you want to... I'm going to turn this fan on. It's getting a little warm. Hopefully this sounds still okay. When you set a boat up for cruising, there's a lot of things you just end up having to buy. You got to have radios, usually AIS, ePribs, chart plotters, autopilots, maybe 2 autopilots, maybe a wind vane, a water maker, a windlass, anchors, chain, solar, refrigerator. You might replace rigging. There's so much of these, maybe some like sea anchors and just like gadgets, electronics, and all that stuff is really, really expensive. Like $50,000 on the low end to get all that stuff for your boat, and that quickly dwarfs the purchase price of a small boat or like a more inexpensive boat, and other things. Lithium batteries. I keep thinking solar charge controllers, like all this stuff you have to get for any boat, and it's just hard to spend that much money on a $5,000 boat. It just doesn't really make sense. Especially when you spend a little bit more money on the initial purchase price, you're gonna have to have all that equipment anyway. And usually, looking at these bigger boats, a lot of the times they're coming with all that stuff. Like you look at a $200,000 catamaran, it's got probably more than half the stuff already. If you look at a free boat or a $5,000 boat, it has almost none of that stuff. It's not gonna have a water maker probably. It's gonna have a lot of stuff that you still have to buy. So you have to really plan that in your purchase, and a lot of people say the equipment on the boat doesn't really add to the the expense of it. when you're buying it, but like that should kind of factor into it. Like you're gonna think about buying all this stuff eventually, and yeah, you can do without it, but I think that's something maybe people don't think about so much, and it should be factored in. Another issue I was getting really frustrating with pickled herring was minimum boat length slip fees. So I had a 28-foot boat, and they would quote me on a Navily or whatever, or their website for one thing, or even when I call them, and then I would show up and they say, oh, we have the minimum slip fee, of 35 feet or something, and they charge me for a 35-foot boat. And it's just infuriating. Like, and also in the moorings and BVIs, if you paid for them, right, they were good for up to a 60-foot boat. So I'm paying the exact same amount of money for a 60-foot boat as a 28-foot boat. It's like, why not have a bigger boat and be able to enjoy the space that it provides too? Another thing, and then the final reason why I think these catamarans make more sense. You just look at what people are sailing around the world. They're either on a big monohull or a catamaran, and like there's hardly anybody sailing on a 28-foot catamaran. Just like, this is not what people want. Like when I sold pickled herring, everyone's like, oh, that's a great boat, you should never sell that. But like, you're not offering to buy it, like not very many people want this, I think it's great for some people, but it's a very small group of people that are down for that kind of type 2 fun, type 3 fun. Thank you, Michael Smith. Appreciate the contribution. Oh, I meant to just hit the heart button. Okay. Someone asked if I'm gonna have long hair and the mustache back. Oh, I think I already have a mustache growing in. I don't know. It's pretty hot here. Maybe I'll keep the hair short for a while. Probably need a haircut again soon. It's so funny, like how many comments I get on my face, on my hair, especially since most of my viewers are men, and most of the comments are from other guys. We're kind of bizarre. Just a thought there. I've got a few comments about Warhams, if I thought that would be a good boat. I think, yeah, they sound like they're cool boats. I was looking into them for a while. But to get one, again, that was like ready to sail and had the minimal amount of works project for money, I'd be looking at almost the same amount of money. And I just felt like, I don't know, like their plywood. And what I've noticed is plywood seems to rot worse than the balsa. Like the type of balsa right now, it's like it's in a grid, and there's like some encapsulation. So when the core does get wet, it kind of stays in smaller areas. I've noticed when you get water in plywood, it just like spreads out completely, and the plywood gets a lot more rotten quicker. So I would much prefer foam core boats. But oh, someone has a GRP Warham Tiki 26. That's awesome. I've not seen many of them. Most of the ones I've seen have been plywood. And I don't want to say anything bad about it. Hey, Jerome. Good to see you. if anybody, I want to give a shout out to my friend Jerome from Sailing to Oblivion. This guy is a freaking legend. Check out his channel. He's done some awesome. I think he's the best sailing podcast interviewer out there. I think he did one with Sailor James too. Hopefully I run into from James. Hey, oh, he's here too. James shouts out that the Warhams are rad. I think they're cool. I like that. There's a guy in the Netherlands now fixing up a Warham, doing a great job on that. But he's been there for over a year now too. And I want, again, the fiance's coming on board. We want to sail. Yeah. So I just want to sail. I want a boat that I can sail and work on, and this is a boat that could do that. And we want to go fast too. Wirelines. That's the channel. Check them out. Yeah, guys, who are your favorite sailing channels right now? I think that's a great thing to talk about. I watch a bunch of sailing channels. Yes, James gives another shout out to Sailing to Oblivion. Definitely check that guy out. So he did a circumnavigation solo non-stop on a what's that? The West Sail. And this guy, he just has so much insight. It's great when he's interviewing the people, because he kind of can talk from so many different angles. We got some shout outs for Sail Life. I met Mads in Florida after I sold pickled herring. I drove by, so we have a little meet up there. He's got a catamaran too, so now we're in the catamaran club. Someone recommends Sam Holmes. Okay. We have Good, Bad, and Ugly. I watched some of their videos. They're cool. Wind Hippie. We're both on Rolly Tasker Sails. Ron, I'm watching them build that. Ron, they're building that cool. I guess it's a wood, but it's got fiberglass over it. It's really great job. He's doing that. Hoob, fun guy. Sailed with him. Got some experience on the catamarans. Hoob kind of. I was already planning on getting a catamaran before I met up with him. But he was a great guy to hang out with and get to kind of experience it firsthand. And, like, he has a much lower bridge deck and a little bit smaller catamaran. I think that kind of maybe pushed me to go a little bit bigger because now we have a much higher bridge deck and more performance oriented, which is something I wanted. And we were looking at the katanas, and like, after we've seen the katanas, it's just like, yeah, it kind of makes sense why people that buy catamarans for cruising go with a different kind of set of I don't know, criteria when they're picking them out, maybe. So that kind of pushed me away from the charter boats for sure. Also, just seeing how the charter boat looks after a few years was enlightening, to say the least. We got some shots for Tally Ho. I'm liking the Leo building that wooden boat over there, and now he's sailing again, and I think that's just fantastic. Alluring Arctic. Those guys just blew up quick, right? They're toughing it out in that cold weather, doing the Arctic Passage. You got some mentions for Old Sea Dog, Zingaro. I think I might have met them at the boat show, or maybe not. Uma is, I think they're working on their boat in Sardinia, I believe. And I think that was where I tacked my way up to try to get to a boatyard, and then I got to the boatyard with an appointment, and they said, we don't have room for you. So I said, screw this, I'm leaving. So I also met them at the ocean race event we had. They're doing a cool refit of an older boat, very neat, and they've covered some miles. Got another shout out for Christian Williams. Ooh, Duracell. I also like Christian Williams. Yeah, his video sailing to Hawaii was very helpful because I watched that before I sailed to Hawaii. We have a shout out for Duracell, which I love watching, learning more about composite boat building. It's Gone with the Winds. Me and Online watch that channel together because she likes that kind of lifestyle stuff too. Some more for a Tritea. James, man, he's the man. Doing it kind of like the old school way, you know, like just a small Alberg 30. That's tough, man, living on the boat that small. Who we got else? Wildlings. Okay. Seeing a lot of the same stuff. Millennial Falcon, are they still making videos? I met them in the oh, Eric, the man. Hopefully we can do another collab with him. Some Delos support. I guess they're in Australia. Maybe we'll meet up with them. James Baldwin's channel. He does the Adam Voyager. I don't think he has. It's a smaller boat work channel. He's in the past he's cruised around extensively and done a lot of work, and he has a lot of kind of resources if you have a Cape Dory or Alberg 30, I think. Some people don't like the boat working channels, some people do, you know. I think that's there's gonna be some more boat work, but we're gonna sail also at the same time, so we'll have a good combo there. I had plans to build actually a trimaran. I still want to do that. My plan, I don't know, it was to take the Mystere and use the hulls and rig and build a center hull, turn it into a trimaran. I was gonna use the Scarab 19 plans. I still want to do that. I feel like that would be a fun project to do, but right, this boat popped up and I just had to jump on that, you know. Also, need to oh, we have a shout out for Acorn to Arabella. I met Steve in the Keys in the next video, so that next video is gonna be sailing pickled herring to Florida, so I sell it. So I had to do 2 trips to Malaysia. It's a lot of flying back and forth. We got a RIP for the autopilot. This boat has a nice B&G autopilot with a Jeffa motor, and this thing has been, well, actually the NMEA network has been a little bit glitchy, but when the autopilot works on this thing, it's nice and quiet and just super. So we got some talk about boat projects, so we can talk about that real quick. I'm currently resealing all the windows, and I'm doing a horrible job. If anybody wants to email me some more tips about that, I've been using Sika Flex 295 UV, and that seems to be like the best stuff to use. My first mistake was not using the proper primers, I think, because it didn't stick at all to the acrylic. The second time I did it with the primers, and it's about 6 hours of work to actually dig out a window and get all the old stuff off and then put the new one in. So it was pretty disheartening when the first rain, it leaked like a sieve. I don't think Sika sticks to Lexan. So maybe they're polycarbonate and not acrylic. I thought it did. So the primers I have, let me go grab those. This has just been so confusing trying to figure out all these primers and stuff. Like, I am not the best person to be figuring this out. So I got the 209D primer, and these things are like 60 bucks for one of these too. That was over $150 for the 4 tubes of stuff. So I gotta figure this out sooner or I'm gonna go broke on primer. So I used the 209D for the windows. I think it's acrylic, but it could be polycarbonate. And then I used 207 for the painted fiberglass, and the paint didn't have a great reaction to this primer. And then I got the activator, but I realized I didn't get the right one for the acrylic, so I only used the activator. It just smells like kerosene, but I used that on the paint. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. A question about wind vanes. I was thinking about doing a wind vane on this boat, but I think I'll probably go the route of the just 2 electric autopilots. So we'll get a second one on there. I think there actually is an old Ray Marine one on, but I only have one hooked up now. Someone says just put silicone caulk down the seam. Yeah, or ask Mads. Yeah, that guy, he seems to know about stuff. I don't know, silicone. Maybe I used the Dow something or other silicone, like a really good one on Swedish Fish when I redid the windows on that one, and those lasted pretty good, but they also had bolts holding them in. But they did end up leaking a little bit after the Hawaii crossing. Aviation grade PRC. Thanks for all these recommendations. I really appreciate it. Oh, some flex tape. Yeah, flex tape fixes everything. The funny thing was, like, they had used duct tape to kind of seal the windows temporarily, and removing the duct tape, it completely ruined the the windows a little bit. Like the adhesive in there was not a great combo. All right, let's see. Another project we're working on, put electric winch on there, where we electrified our Harkin winch. I replaced a soft spot under the windlass, so that was fun digging out all the rot in there. I electrified one of the toilets, so it was like a manual pump, and like all the catamarans have the electric toilet, so I figured I'd electrify that one, so that'll be another project. There's many projects. So the cruising season, Adeline's coming in a couple weeks. We sail up to Thailand, we'll cruise around here, work our way down to Borneo, hopefully cross paths with James. I think he's in Indonesia or somewhere around there. Then sailing, yeah, maybe the Philippines, maybe down to Australia. Eventually we'll work our way around Africa, down the Caribbean. That's the kind of plan. What are we at? 56 minutes, so we'll wrap it up pretty soon. Any other questions? No, a composting head. No, you know, I think composting heads can work okay. Some people don't, but yeah, I think it's better. I think I wanted just a normal marine head on this boat. I had the bucket system on pickled herring. Pickled herring. That worked well. But if you have guests, it's kind of maybe we'll charter the boat out eventually. Just doesn't really work. The bucket, you can't get away with the bucket forever. Swedish Fish used to be 10 slips down from radon. Thanks, John Bryan. Appreciate that. A question about Starlink. Do I have Starlink? I have the Starlink Mini, and I was kind of hesitant to get on board with Starlink because I don't know, it seemed like it would be complicated and it wouldn't work. But man, the Starlink has been fantastic. The Starlink Mini uses about 20 watts, normally, and now I have all the solar, I can keep it on all the time. And the only thing is that the upload speed's a little slow when I'm trying to upload a bucket. Hey, someone says I'm hating on the 5-gallon bucket method, and I'm not hating on it. I like it. I think the bucket worked great. It's other people and the optics of it. That's the problem. So yeah, I'll give it's a little bit of shade towards the 5-gallon bucket, but I think it's great. We have some questions about navigation. So my primary navigation is still my iPhone with Navionics app. The boat has a B&G chart plotter, but it's only a few years old, but the screen is broken. The touch screen is broken. It works, so I use that for a few things. But yeah, so that is kind of a backup, not super reliable. But the phone seems to be best, and I also have an Orca tablet, so that's another backup, and I put that there. And I wasn't crazy about the Orca charts, but now that I'm using Orca, now that this boat has an NMEA 2000 network, it can interface with the GPS and the wind sensor and the engine RPM sensors and stuff. It's actually been a super extra duplicate display, and I can control the autopilot from inside the boat. So I'm still getting to learn how to use the Orca, but I like the interface, and if I could load my Navionics charts in there, I think that would just be a winner. I also like the sailproof tablet. I think it's a really nice tablet for running Navionics on. Unfortunately, I let that go with pickled herring, but maybe I'll get another one. All right, so thanks everybody for tuning in. I really enjoyed the comments and talking to you. Hopefully I'll do another one. It won't be a year before I do another live chat, but I'm gonna sign off now, and I should have a new video coming out in a few days, back on pickled herring for 2 more passages before we get to Malaysia. Okay, bye.